There's a well-known statistic that says 7 out of 10 young adults don't feel ready for adulthood. I know it's true because I was one of them. A few years back, I felt lost. My life wasn't going the way I wanted, and to be honest, I wasn't doing much to fix it. Until I lost everything and everyone I've ever known. The universe had kicked my ass so bad, I had no choice but to somehow figure things out. Which I did. Using a simple method, I started to understand who I wanted to be, what I wanted from life, and the mindset needed to get my desired outcome. Becoming your best self isn't complicated, but it does take real effort. And so I want to share how I did it. These lessons were recorded a while ago, so I might sound different. But if you stick with it, I believe they'll be able to push you towards your dream reality.
It's so easy to be great nowadays, my friend, because most people are weak.
It's only recently, while I was packing my bags and getting ready to go to a war-infested part of my country to continue my education, that my closest friend asked me, "How do you do it?" I looked back at him and said, "Do what?" Even after going to jail, getting deported from your birthplace and being abandoned, you've been getting shit done without complaining. I'm really proud of you, man. Now, this was supposed to be one of those emotional moments you see in movies, but I couldn't stop myself from hysterically laughing. Because hearing him say all of that made me realize my life sounds so shit. Weird enough, however, I've never once felt this way while experiencing it. Because I believe all the messed up things that I've been through and will be experiencing in the future are in fact the greatest blessings I've been gifted. To make that clear, let's imagine 3 guys: Ollie, Albert, and John. They all can't swim, showers terrify them, and the only contact they have with water is when it's in the confinement of a cup. And they get separately thrown into Nazare, the wildest wave location in the world that claimed the lives of numerous people. And they are given one instruction: don't drown. The moment Ollie got in, he passed out and started to sink slowly. John fought hard, pushing with his legs and breaking through only to get hit once more and sink, and this cycle continued, while Albert was just floating. Every time a wave would crash into him, he'd return to the surface and continue to float. The waves are the challenging parts of life, the things we have to accomplish and the hardships we need to face. Ollie, like most people, isn't even aware that he's dying slowly. He's overwhelmed, and it all feels like a distant dream to him. John is the guy with a chip on his shoulder. Fueled by anger and resentment, he won't stop until he proves himself to the world that wronged him. And Albert is the rare individual. He basically did the same thing as John. Just like the Johns, the Alberts of the world know that everything gained in life is through action, by getting things done, especially when it's uncomfortable. The difference is in their perspectives. Albert believes that all of his struggles, no matter how awful they felt, were a great time. And no, he's not a masochist. Experiences are not inherently good or bad. They might be positively or negatively oriented, but at the end of the day, it's your squishy mind that does the final labeling, which is highly influenced by our interpretation of events, which is why 2 people can go through the same experience and yet have wildly different takes and opinions about what they went through. And if that's the case, why not frame everything as being rigged to your favor by just asking this one question: how is this the greatest thing that ever happened to me? And trust me, your brain will find an answer for this. I did this in jail, and what I got was that this will be the greatest thing ever if I never blame others for my shit ever again, and took full responsibility for my life, which I've been doing ever since. You can dismiss it as delusion, but if you choose to use this, you'll be able to bend your reality all the way to the top, which in turn results in the creation of another belief, that as long as you are going through these great experiences and doing the right things, you'll be fine no matter what. You do this believing that every obstacle along the way is a gift, a lesson, and even character development for you, then you'll be unstoppable. But what if I'm wasting my time on the wrong things? What if my actions aren't pushing the needle forward? Stop it. People can be categorized into two. The type that never commits, with the word long-term being the cause of 78% of their nightmares. Running on motivation without knowing that it's a fast-burning fuel gets them stranded in the desert of uncertainty. So they desperately change vehicles in hopes of escaping. From one job to the next, from one business to the other, stuck in a cycle of new beginnings. Never managing to forge their own way out, they end up taking whatever option they're offered by the society and government. The second group, the achievers, put their all into their craft. Regardless of the passage of time, their vision stays unwavering, withstanding the harsh trials along the way, yet staying concentrated when the times are good. These are the people you are told to become from a very young age, and the role models you look up to. They are way better off than the wanderers, is what you think. But the reality is that most people on both sides are miserable. It's just one group knows why, while the other doesn't, until it's too late.
You know what I do? I fucking work 15 hours a day.
Work, I would say 14 hours a day. At least 14 hours a day. And so that's about 100 hours a week.
To excel at any competitive field, whether it be sports, work, or academics, you have to put in ungodly amounts of effort and maintain it for an insane period of time, to the extent that others start to question your sanity. Dedication is not an option, but a requirement to live a meaningful life. The problem is when you work 60 plus hours a week doing something that doesn't fix your specific problems. You go on living without realizing that you've been enslaved by the values of someone else, ideas and beliefs that fundamentally aren't for you, dictating the course of your life. Isn't that scary? You've felt it before too, haven't you? That this might not be what you're supposed to do, but you shrugged it off. However, the thing is that feeling might have been your intuition screaming at you to wake up and open your eyes to the strings above your head that are steering you on towards hell. People idealize the lives of others and then try to emulate them without first considering whether that's the best road for them. Go all in? In what exactly? A dream job that was sold to me by influencers online trying to get a piece of my wallet? A life of glam that I saw on Instagram? Or the way of the internet nomad with sand on my toes and a low battery PC on my lap? Point is that everyone you see online is trying to share their ideas with you, but only 1% of it works for you. So you have to identify that 1% from the sea of information and not get brainwashed into doing something that you will regret later. But how can you find out what to actually do with your life? Well, the way to do so is very simple. It only requires you to be honest with yourself and to think carefully. If you use this method correctly, you'll turn into an unstoppable force of nature in pursuit of what's best for you with a clear view of the prize you're aiming for. And I'll show you how to do it right now. So sit down, open your notes app, or take a pen and paper, whichever you wish to choose, and then start off by writing all the negative qualities and behaviors that you possess in the form of adjectives. You'll never show this list to anyone, so go as dark and deep as imaginable. Even if you think the degree of the quality is very minor, just write it down. take your time because this is very important. Next, write all the activities that excite you and or make you happy in a separate list. This includes stuff you did in the past, habits that you have to this day, and things you want to do in the future. If the thought of doing something excites you, just add it to the list. The third step is to turn the activities into identities by using this template. Y is the activity and X is the identity that you personally associate with the action. Extra attention to personally. In this example, all of them could be X. The right answer is just the one that you choose. It doesn't have to be accurate either, as long as you know what action the identity does. After you do this to all the activities, you go back to the Zell's list, which is the list of negative qualities, and identify which one you hate the most. If you die today, which one of these would be the thing that you regret the most? Look at the list very carefully. Now take that quality and go through the personalities, starting with the one you like the most, and ask whether the perceived qualities of the personality in question counteracts your negative one. Keep doing this until you get to the one that does. Now look at all the negatives that accompanies being this person. Wasting 3 hours every week, sweating, paying $20 minimum each month, tracking calories, controlling what you eat, cramps, exhaustion. These could be the negatives of becoming a gym rat. And then you write all the positives of the identity in question. What are the benefits of being this person? Compare both and see if you still want to become this person. If not, go back to step 5. Next is whether you can become this person while working your current job or business. Does adopting this identity hinder you from fulfilling your duties at work? If it doesn't, then move on to step 8. But if it does, then are you willing to eventually do this instead of your current job or business? If no, then go back to step 5. If you reach this point and find out that the identity that you want to have is the same that you embody right now, then congrats, you're better than 99% of us. But for the majority, it doesn't tend to be the case. But that's okay. Now you have something to aim for. But this is just where it begins. Next up, you need to make a plan to become this person without turning homeless. And then create a deadline until which you don't allow doubt into your heart. Only then are you allowed to go all in, without anything holding you back for the duration of the time you decided. Put everything into validating this identity to yourself. Orient your life towards it, consume content around it, and push forward. By repeating this process over the years, you would live a life that no one else lived, with true belief in your actions and where they would take you. You'd have the clarity that only a few geniuses ever had. But never forget that the only person who can keep you from the life you deserve is you. Self-sabotage is part of our nature, but you can control it. Watch this video if you want to learn how. And until next time, stay safe.